Hello and welcome to Self Power Now, where empowering women share their stories and advice about life, work, happiness, love, and success. I'm your host, Debbie Giussoni, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. So sit back and enjoy the show. Today, we're talking to Cohen-Barzilay. Vered is from Israel, where she's an entrepreneur and a Renaissance woman who has combined all of her talents. And let me tell you, she has a lot, from technology to human rights defender to journalism, to create her life and her work. She is the founder of Out of the Box, which promotes innovation and entrepreneurship in the aerospace industry. And she's trained hundreds of students of all ages and professionals in 9 different countries. Welcome, Vered.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. I am so glad to have you here, and I love to have these international podcasts. Now, you have had such an eclectic career. After I read your bio, I was not surprised that you were considered a very, very smart child, but also very different because you were ADHD. Tell us a little bit about that experience and how that shaped your life, whether in a good way or in a less positive way.
Yeah, well, it wasn't very positive. I think that not only the HEAT, but especially to be creative and out of the box. So
Mm.
usually, when I was in school, the teacher looked at, they had this conceptions about people that are out of the box, not in a very positive way. So it usually has been like, why do you have to always be out of the box? Why do you always have to think differently? Why can't you do things as you've been told? So most of the time search for other ways to do things. And I was very involved and I started as an entrepreneur in very early age. So I wanted to do stuff. And so I don't remember my school period as something in terms of studies, of course, something very positive. Also, in girls having ADHD, it's different because sometimes they hyperactive. It's not usually boys. They fight with each other. They make noise. Girls don't act like this. They have a lot of energy, but not always do they show this energy, in class. Usually it becomes, you are a little bit frustrated. You don't have the capacity to sit so many hours and listen. So I used to excuse myself, go to look for something and never come back or something like that.
So did you
Looking,
basically take the approach of, obviously they were telling you do something one way and you just kind of escaped and just did your own thing, but you
I did
still,
it
that must have
bigger.
hurt you emotionally.
Yes, I used to do things, bigger. For example, if the teacher wanted to ask to just draft a human body, so I went to the encyclopedia and I studied everything from the inside and the outside, and I studied how to, to draw it and to sketch it. And I came back and I don't know, elementary school, yes, came back to this teacher and gave her an entire work about human body, and she was like, but I only asked for you to to draw the human body. But for me it was I was looking for different kind of approach in education, and everything was a little bit conservative and boring. So yes, for me it was not very positive experience.
Yeah. So what about, how did your parents react to that? And what could parents do? What advice do you have for them if they have a child with ADHD, especially as you said, girls react differently, and you hear a lot about boys and, that hyperactivity, but what could parents do that are dealing with this right now?
I think that they first have to read a lot. They have to learn how girls react to ADHD. support. I think that the only thing that really troubled me as a child was to have some adults to understand, that I'm not doing it on purpose. Usually, the teacher said, used to tell me, why, you are lazy. Either you are too, you are too engaged. You want too much. So I never, I couldn't even put. The point of understanding who am I? Am I a lazy person, or maybe I'm too, too sophisticated?
Yes.
And I just was looking for an adult, a teacher, someone that will look at me and said, you know what, you're very good. I mean, as you. You don't have to change, but we accept you, we love you. I don't think that of course, along the way, I met those kind of teachers, but not too often. And of course, I cherish them a lot. All the teachers that I met and really sponsored me. And for parents, it's only, you know, uh, give the child as many as opportunities to develop. Today we are talking about personal education. So we understand that every child has a potential, but every child develop in a different way. So what the teachers are nowadays required to do is to find the potential in every child and help the student to develop, to become this person that he or she can be, because all of us we are all gifted, at the end, but you have your strength, I have my strengths, and we just need to find them and follow them.
I love that you say we're all gifted, because we all do have unique qualities, and parents and teachers need to encourage what those qualities are. And whether it's ADHD or something else that's very different about that child, I think it's very important to celebrate the differences rather than put them aside or make them feel unconfident about them, and to develop that confidence in the child. Again, everybody is different and unique in their own way, whether it's maybe their hair is curly or kinky or whatever. I had a lot of that growing up as well, and we all have to kind of come together as a community and be the positive influences in that child's life. Did your parents give you a lot of confidence in that respect, and how did they do that?
I have a very strong memory that one of my teachers, I was in high school, and I submitted a work in literature. And when the teacher gave me back the work, she gave me zero.
Oh.
And I was like, why zero? Because it's very insulting. And she said, because I know I'm convinced that you are not the one that wrote this work, because it's too high level.
Oh.
It's a very high level work. And I said, of course it was me. Why do you think? And she said, no, because I think that the work was very, very, it's like was in high school level. But she didn't believe me. I went back to my mother and I told her the story. My mother was she saw me she when I wrote the work, so she said, I can testify that you definitely wrote the work. And then she went to speak with the teacher and they debate. And at the end, my mother, I just had to say that, but she bribed the teacher. She gave her a perfume or something like that. And she said, I have some gift for you. And the teacher said, oh, yes, I think that, yes, I have to read again Vered's work. And I do believe you that she write it. And I was there and I was like, I remember that I was even I felt more humiliated, by this fact. I think that my mother tried to do something, good, because she
Yes.
understands that it will be a never-ending story with this teacher. But on the other hand, the fact that I didn't, get my justice, because I never, I don't know if the teacher really thought that it was me writing this article, this work,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it was because of the perfume. So this is something that I hated that because I thought that I back then I didn't think that my mother really backed me up.
But your mother believed you, though. Your mother believed you, but she didn't think that the teacher would believe you. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And I wanted her to fight for me.
Yeah.
And my mother is not a fighter, and I grew up to become a fighter. And I
Mm.
really wanted her to be like me. Of course, I mean, my mother, experienced different kind of life and marriage in which she was not very strong in the relationship, and she couldn't even develop herself, go to, to study. So she couldn't be, the person that I was hoping her to be for me. It was not realistic. Now looking back, I understand that it wasn't even realistic to put this, all these expectations on her. But I really needed that. And I can say that I had some teachers and friends that I found with them the backup that I needed. So, for example, you know, uh, I think it was the same teacher or someone else, maybe even at the university, that I had some very difficult financial situation, and I didn't know what to do. So my parents told me, you have to quit, university. And I was very sad because I worked a lot, to earn the money for the university, and it just I missed some of the budget that I needed, and I called one of my friends, ex-teacher, and she told me, why, what's happened to you? You sound very depressed. And I told her, and she said, no, 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 you don't have to. I will not allow you to quit. I'm coming with you to speak with the manager, with the director of this university, and I will speak with them, and they will give you a scholarship. So I never used this, just the knowing that she suggested something else. Don't quit. Let's find,
Yes.
different ways.
Yes, that somebody supports you. Vered, you were encouraged. I want to go back to your childhood. You were encouraged as a young girl to pursue literature over things that I think that you were more interested in, like science and aviation, which you have a passion for now. How did that shape your early career? What did you do with that? And sometimes, we don't know why we're being steered in a particular direction, but it actually does prove positive, or you can get something positive out of it in the future. How did that steer your career into what you're doing now?
Well, I think that the answer of this question I managed to give myself only when I was 40. So only when I reach, to do what I'm doing now, I realized that it started when I was a child, and I had different hobbies and different passion. And so I asked myself, how is it possible that I went in this other direction? And I think that I have a few answers. One is that I lived in Tel Aviv. It's a big city, in Israel, and it sounds, strange, but STEM, science, technology, mathematics, and engineering, especially engineering, which was where my passion was, engineering and aviation. It wasn't something that, especially in the big city, Tel Aviv, it was considered something that is not very high level.
For both
Because Tel
boys and
Aviv,
girls, or just for girls?
uh, for both boys and girls, because Tel Aviv, it's more city. It's like Los Angeles because it's more city of actors and theater and art. So the schools that considered better were just very conservative. With, yes, we had mathematics, but it was, most of the students attracted to those kind of subject. So this is one thing. The other one is that I think that even though in my house, my father, um, I think, nurtured in me the passion to electronics. So he used to call me to say, fix the video, fix the clock, fix everything. So I used to fix everything in the house. On the other hand, it was very clear what a woman need to do and what a man need to do. So it's something that, again, very conservative house. And my father was a very brilliant in mathematics, but it's I think it even came without saying that mathematics is for boys and not for girls.
Mhm.
I think another thing is that it was very easy for me to. I mean, people recognize very in a very early age that I can write. I think that my first memory is that I was maybe second grade, that the teacher asked me to read a short story that I wrote in one of the parents gathering. And so everybody understood that I have natural talent for public speaking, for writing, and also for art. So when you have those kind of talent, you just it never realized for them that maybe I have other talents as well. And that was more my passion was more about electricity. I really like to. I understood electricity by fixing stuff, by breaking stuff. Every time they bought me electronic, I used to break it and then fix it again
Take it
and
apart and put
learn.
it back together.
Yes, exactly like Renaissance. So I was very curious, and I wanted to learn those kind of stuff. But for my birthday, I wanted my parents to buy me all kind of electricity gadgets, so I can fix and break
Yeah.
all those stuff. But it wasn't. I been born in the mid 70s. It wasn't something very common for women
Right,
to do
right.
this
And
kind of
and
stuff.
as you said, now when you got back into STEM after 40, which a lot of women sort of changed their careers around the late 30s, early 40s. I know I did. I left the technology industry and went into personal growth and health and wellness right about that time. And you finally realized that childhood dream. And at the time, it sounds like everyone thought it was just kind of like a little passion of yours, right? A little hobby, take electronics apart and put them back together. But important for parents to recognize, those talents now, as opposed to the 70s. I think that there are a lot of encouraging programs and organizations out there that help children, especially girls, get interested in STEM and do STEM. And that's just music to my ears, because everyone should do what they're really passionate about. And you mentioned the word Renaissance. I know in your bio you said Leonardo da Vinci was one of your big inspirations, and I'm sure the listeners can see in the short time we've spoken how many different areas you've touched with your creativity and your intellect and your technical know-how and whatnot. And I'm sure that was your inspiration as well for science and innovation.
Yes, and I think that again, the approach was it's either STEM without the STEAM, or art or STEM. You can't do both. And Leonardo da Vinci, he was an example, a very good example of a person that did both and even more, and very successfully. So why not? Why to divide it? Why to say if you are, into math, or if you are into science, then you can be an artist. And I wanted to do, all of this. And I wanted to combine those together. And this is exactly what I'm doing now with all my programs. And
Yes.
so definitely. And all the time, the approach was focus. You have to focus on something. And I didn't want to focus. I want to enjoy everything that the world is, offering me. life is short, and I have to do.
I'm
I want to enjoy it.
exactly the same way, by the way. And I feel like everybody always wants to put me in a box. And when they say, what do you do for a living? I can't just say I do one thing because I don't have one path, and I like to, as I say, in some of my bios, utilize both sides of my brain, which is what you're doing. Most people don't. And, in my field, people think you can either be, you have a business side and that's it, but you cannot have a creative side, or you have a visionary, but you can't have execution skills. And I feel like I can bring all of those together in both my creative work, my writing, as well as my business management and consulting and strategy. And to me, that's the fun part of life, because I would get so bored just doing
Mhm,
one thing. I would just
mhm.
hate it. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. Now, not everybody is like that, right? There are a lot of people that do, like, they say, oh, from when I was a child, all I wanted to do was this one thing. And that's perfectly fine. But to understand the unique differences with people, and that not everybody fits in those boxes, and that actually helps you get through the ups and downs in life as well. I know you had suffered in your family some financial crisis. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, just touched on that. Can you tell us a little bit about that time in your childhood, and how your talents helped you and your family get through that financial crisis, and what exactly happened?
Yeah, so what happened is that my family, my parents had a business and they failed with the business and
Hmm.
they started to have some debt, serious debt, and it just brought,
A
all this kind of
spiraling
trouble.
effect, yeah.
Yeah, spiraling effect for many years, for too many years. I was an adolescent, so I was a teen, and I think that this is a very delicate age for young girls. Um, and I think that especially what happened is that you understand that from growing up in a middle age, not middle age, middle age family, earning like
Middle income,
Boganim,
middle income.
middle income, yes, family, even middle high income, to nothing. It's just one day it feels like you are, um, falling from a plane, and the especially the parents that you admire, you see they take care of you, they just they didn't know what to do. So my father was very depressed. He didn't know how to find a job again, what to do with all the death. And my mother was, as I said, she wasn't allowed to be educated, and she never worked, so she had to reborn to start, to find a job, to start working, because it's not just this change of the economic, but it also changed the structure of the family. And
Mm.
for me, it was something very traumatic. Also, when you are in debt, at least in Israel, you have people from the government coming, very bully people coming and demanding, the money. They do it in, under the law,
Mm.
and they can take some stuff in return to the money that you owe. So
Mm.
it was very dramatic to hear the knocking and them traveling in the house, taking my computer, taking my, I don't know, a videotape,
Mm.
or everything else. So I think that it's really designed to who I am. Uh, it took me a while to understand that I'm even fortunate for this period, because I think that now I have more empathy or understanding for people without money. In general, it really shaped um, my approach to money, because I do understand that money is important, but it's not the most important. And the house is not the structure. A house is what we are, what we build inside. So I think that I I understand. I'm doing a lot of things. Most of my activity are impact activities, are social activities, because it's important for me to fix whatever I can. And especially, this is why I'm working also with mid school and high schools, because this is again something that I realized. It's like a circle that I'm trying to fix that the trauma of this little girl that suffered from feeling loneliness and insecure in the world, and now I can give those the hug and the security to my students, sometimes coming from broken houses, from not very wealthy houses and more. So I'm reaching out to them and I'm trying to give them the opportunities that I don't know if anyone will give them, to open the doors for them. And because at the end, people open the doors for me. I reached to where I am doing, amazing stuff because people were there, believing me, giving me the opportunities, and I really have to give back to the world what I experienced.
Well, I'm sure we have a lot of families listening, a lot of women listening who might have whose families might be struggling financially now as well. There's always time periods in the history where things are, whether it's the stock market or a pandemic or your own personal life. And as you said, death and dying also affects what's going on, both emotionally and financially within a family. I know for myself in my early 20s was when mid 20s or so was when I lost a lot of family members, and that certainly affect my whole life and the trajectory of my career and all of that. What can you tell these families who are struggling right now? Because sometimes you really can't see beyond, that myopic view of exactly what's happening now. And I love what you said about, money isn't everything, and a house isn't anything. These are just things. And what brings it together are actually the people and the love within them. When you meet young people and perhaps, I don't know, interact with their parents, what kind of encouragement can you give them about the future and about their financial situation if they are struggling?
So one of the most important things that I realized is that what happened to my father is that he was feeling shameful for being, failed.
Mm,
So I think that first of all, if you fail, even if you lost, all your money, it's you being feeling shameful never brings you to anywhere. I think that it took him, if he was I think managing everything in more rational way, today as an adult I have many suggestions, to suggest him what to do, because there are things that you can do, and even you can bring the authority to help you if you do several, business steps. So one of the things that I can advise to those people is don't be shamed. It happens in every. Often we hear about I don't know, Elon Musk lost, I don't know, half of his fortune. You know, he's not feeling shameful about it. He's shame, about it. He's just saying, okay, it's business. One day you're here, second day you're here. If it was the approach of my father, understanding that it happens that sometimes I'm losing, but if I will encourage myself, I can be here. What
mm.
happened is that his reaction, I think that roll up to my family in a way that my parents started to blame each other. Whose fault is it? And this is not a way. I think that if someone in the family, either if it's a man or the woman, sometimes men feeling more shame because they feel that they need to provide a family. So they think that they failed in the most basic things that they require to do. But if even if it happens, share it with the family. Say, I'm feeling lost. Maybe we can come together as a family. Maybe we can find some, solution within ourselves. If the to if we could use the power of family, power of love, to to nurture each other, even just to strengthen each other, to give each other comfort. I think that it brings positive thinking, and from the positive thinking you can climb back together. But on the other hand, I do have also criticism from the government, because sometimes when you are losing your money, it's very easy to, the society look at you and they feel the pointed, finger at you. You
Mm.
have failed, and I think that society need to bring different, and now we can see that because people do look at failing in a different way. But back then, failing was something that it was NASA. Failure is not an option. So
Right. I think even now as well, and I'm glad you brought up shame and blame, right? Those are the two things. If you can get beyond feeling shameful and blaming someone else. And I always say too, to come to a place of gratitude. You mentioned earlier that you were almost glad that that had happened to you because it helped you have compassion for other people. So perhaps if the only thing that positive that comes out of that is you have compassion to help one other person, let alone, hundreds, if you can help one other person out of that ordeal, then that is absolutely the best thing that could happen. And also finding positivity out of whatever the situation you are in. What can you divert your attention to, that again, going to a place of gratitude? Anything else? Any other tips?
um, I think that we can see that in I don't know, in India, in areas that they're really struggling, is that they are sometimes happier. So I think that we have to take off happiness from money. Sometimes parents think that if they don't have the money to buy their child, so they are failing them. They are not doing, they are not really acting well as a parents, and it's not that. I don't think that a child really needs all kind of items, even though it's it's strange to say that, because this is what we are doing today as a helicopter parents. We just buy them stuff, and we think that if we buy them more and more and more, they will be happier, and it's not. What they need is that we will be with them. We'll give them, we will believe in them, give them, a quality time together. So sometimes, and I researched that a lot, and in a family, that parents can say, you know what, you just need an education. Go to have a, good education, and with this education, you can do everything. You don't really need all those kind of stuff and fancy computer or whatever. You just need to study, to be curious, and you just need to know that we are here for you. We back you up, and if something will happen, if you will fail, we will be there for you. And I think
Mm.
that this is what we need as a persons, as humans. We just need to know that if we will fail, someone will be there to grab us. That we are not just falling, free falling from an airplane, but we are falling into the arms of I don't know, beloved. It can be parents, it can be husband, or someone else.
Yeah, just to know that there is love and compassion in the world and for each other, I think is so important. I want to pivot into your humanitarian work. For a while, you worked in media, in journalism, and you really used that platform to help women, both young women and older women. Can you tell us a little bit about your work there and how maybe all of us can get involved in some social justice causes?
Yeah, well, it started when I worked at the media, and I remember that I think it was I worked at the television news, and the first days of me coming over there, one of my journalist friends told me, "Watch out from this journalist. He's very risky, so don't interact with him." So it was like a code, stay away, because he's like a sexual harasser. He's harassing journalists. So I realized that I faced so many things as a journalist, and most of the times I realized that we are not gathered together. All the journalists. I don't know. They in our media, they just wanted to blonde journalists to make, stand up, come in
The
front of the
looks. They
camera,
wanted the looks, not the
the
brains.
looks. And I was, resenting that when after I resigned from the television, I was managed to, I was in a conversation. I met some friends, and we talked about the same things, and especially this person that we all pointed out. And I was very lucky to not interact because one of my female journalists warned me. So we said we have to do something, and it was like impossible because he was very strong, person, very strong journalist, and we thought that it's impossible um, to convince the TV, directors to, I don't know,
Remove him.
um, to remove him. And then this is how we started the journalism cell. We started as a few very, a few journalists that we were very passionate to make a change. And I think it was even before the Me Too movement.
Mm-hmm.
So we can say that we sort of started the Me Too movement. This is what we did. The first action that we did, we asked all the females to open, to publish a post, and it was back then nobody ever done before, campaigns on social media.
Yes.
So we all made a campaign, and we wrote about him, and we said, if you ever been hurt by him, it just, you have those kind of example in the US, we can
Yes, of
mention
course,
that.
especially in the media.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially in the media. So if you ever been hurt by him, give us a call. And it's shaking. It was like boom,
Mm.
everyone talked about it, and it became something, very serious. From there, we started really building this network. And at the end, I really managed, I was like directing this network that becoming something very huge. We did media training for expert women. We we counted how many women are participating as anchors and researchers in the television, how many women participating in conferences. We went to speak with the head of the media to explain to them about gender and to tell them, to ask them not to hire anyone that with sexual harassment history. We worked a lot, and we were very, motivated network. Very quickly, at first, even one of the men journalists wrote about us that were witches. He actually wrote and published the
That sounds
witches,
like something from the Salem witch trials.
yes. But at the end, we've been selected to 5 out 100 most important in the Israeli media. So that was the win at the end. And
Mm.
I think that I've learned a lot because I use this method of activism that I developed in, the journalism, and more female cells grow out from this. So we had writers and film directors and high-tech women, and women in all kind of subjects. They all gather together because they realize that they have this power to, as a network, working with each other, supporting each other. And it was really amazing to finally see women coming together in solidarity, helping one another, and making sure that nobody will, left alone. And amazing.
So I have to ask the journalist that that started this whole thing, what happened to him?
Oh, he's okay. So I, I think that the most important stuff that we managed to do is that to again separate between the legal action to the public action. So there is this legal action, and when you are trying to sue someone on sexual harassment, you have to, there is this, if it's been 10 years, then you can sue him. And there are so many things that in a legal way you have to build a case. On the other hand, in the public way, this is different. We don't need to suffer from a person that, I don't know, we had like 20, 30, 40 women came outside and said he sexually harassed us. Even one of them was even claiming that he raped her. So
Mm.
we understood that it's something very massive. He was really lunatic, but and we realized that beside the legal actions, there are even more important that in that the media will have to put some standards, and the standards is that nobody need to suffer from sexual harassment or to hire someone with those all those kind of claims. So it really made I think that people understood, and this is the Me Too. It's exactly because people understood that when a group of women saying, and proving, because he's just texted thousands of journalists, all kind of awful things. Um, you know, we don't need to wait until the legal actions to be end to understand that this is not a good example, and we don't need to nurture more journalists to be heard by this person. So he's no longer working in the media, and every time they try to bring him back, we were there to defend and said, no, 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 you can't do that. We can't go back.
Mm.
We have to follow up. And I think that's what happened is that afterwards, when we had other cases, so the men usually just took responsibility. And we had many other cases, also Knesset member and, all kind. So they really realized. So what happened is that I think that we managed to educate the society to say no to sexual harassment. Of course, wow, we still have a lot of work to do. It's not that we finished,
But what
but yes.
groundbreaking work that was. And again, even before the Me Too movement, you had started this, and it shows a couple things to me. Is number one, the court of public opinion sometimes is even stronger than legal, and maybe that does lead to legal. And number two, just the getting the numbers, getting women in solidarity, women together. And I think that when women come together, they can do anything, whether that's, going after people that should be doing what they're doing, or doing something more positive in life or work, and creating just all kinds of solutions for the world. And it does take this camaraderie of women together. And I love that you started that, and it actually turned out to be a positive outcome for so many women. And I'm sure a sigh of relief for many of them as well, knowing that progress is made. And as you said, there's still a lot more that we can be doing, and this is all going on in the world right now. But raising that awareness to what is going on, number one, that is not, right. And number two, that we can actually do something about it instead of sitting back, is just amazing. You have had such an impact on so many people. I'm so grateful to have you here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your presence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that if I can just say one, last
Yes,
word,
yes.
it's just sisterhood. I think that we need more sisterhood in the world, and we need it in the most, honest way, and the most ambulance, sorry.
Yes,
Okay,
sisterhood.
so
Yes.
yes, sisterhood. I think that this is the key for everything. Now we are having huge political issues in Israel that really divide the country into two groups. We can say fighting each other, and the most concerning thing is that women's rights are still again at risk. And When I'm
Mm.
saying women's rights, I'm talking about even the rights that are within the laws now that are starting to be questions. And we have Orthodox, they're trying to impose their beliefs on everyone and
Hmm.
action. So, for example, they wanted to have women going into driving in the buses, but at the back of the buses and not at the front, because women need to. And now all the women are gathering together, because we understand that we have to make sure to protect our rights. And I think that women everywhere are always at risk. This is something that I realized from, I don't know, more than 20 years of being an feminist activist. We can't allow ourselves to enjoy the fruits of our success. It's an ongoing work, always and always and always, protecting what we achieve, achieving and protecting, and just fighting from, against all the conservatives that want to send us back to, I don't know, ages,
Ancient times. I
ages.
know. I'm so glad you brought that up because I feel that way too. I feel like we've come so far, and then all of a sudden things start happening where we're back in the 1960s or the 1950s and marginalized and put, as you said, in the back of the bus, literally and figuratively. And it's not just women, it's other marginalized communities that this is happening, where a moral code, a religious or moral code, is being implanted or being forced upon the entire society, which makes some people, women or other sectors or communities, less than, basically. And there is nobody that is less than. We are all equal. We are all, we all have the ability and the right to have the same privileges in life. So thank you for all that you're doing in that area.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Listeners, you can find more information about Out of the Box, which is Vered's company, as well as her bio and ways to connect to her on my website, selfpowernow.com. And while you're there are some free gifts about happiness, and there's free courses and whatnot. So check it out. And I hope you come and join us again next time. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening to Self Power Now. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, follow it on your favorite podcast platform, and join our community on selfpowernow.com and receive 3 free happiness gifts. And while you're there, if you're looking for more ways to be happy, healthy, peaceful, and loved, check out my books and new online courses. Until next time, this is Debbie Jassoni wishing you self-power now.